Breaking: Venezuelan jets chase U.S. bomber over Caribbean Turkey. A fatal miscalculation.
2:20 p.m. Eastern Time. Over the bright Caribbean, a B-1B Lancer cuts south at more than 550 miles per hour. Altitude steady, course clean. The sea below looks calm, but the air picture is not. Two fast contacts surge out from the coast. They close hard. No radio calls, no caution turns. The gap drops from 40 miles to 30 in seconds. This is not a pass. This is a challenge. Inside the bomber, warning tones flicker on. Sensors confirm active tracking. The crew does not panic. The aircraft holds its line. Speed remains constant, direction unchanged. At this range, every second matters. Instead of backing away, the interceptors angle directly toward the patrol route. That choice changes everything. What looks like a simple chase is now a live confrontation, and the balance is not even. This is not an accident. It is pressure by design. A signal meant to test limits in international airspace. The pilots pushing forward believe they see a lone aircraft. They believe they can lean in and force a reaction. They are wrong. They have no idea how many eyes are already on them, or how close the response really is. And as the distance keeps shrinking, the first peak of tension hits. If you want to follow this confrontation step by step, subscribe now. What just happened over the Caribbean is not a random encounter, and it is not about one aircraft. This stretch of airspace sits above some of the most heavily traveled sea lanes in the Western Hemisphere. Tankers, cargo ships, and regional traffic pass through here every day. For the United States, keeping this corridor open and predictable is a core security mission, not a show of force. The aircraft at the center of this moment, the B-1B Lancer, was not there to provoke a fight. These patrols are designed to be visible but lawful, flying in international airspace to signal presence without crossing red lines. That balance is deliberate. It tells allies that the route is protected, and tells rivals that the rules still matter. For Venezuela, the decision to push fighters forward carries a different meaning. Intercepts like this are often used to test reaction time, response patterns, and political tolerance. It is a way to ask a question without speaking. How close is too close? How fast will the other side move? Will anyone blink? But this is where the risk sharpens. When radar locks come on, the situation stops being political and starts becoming physical. A radar lock is not just observation, it is intent. It tells the other cockpit, I am ready to take the next step. For the crews involved, this is no abstract strategy. Inside the bomber, the pilots know that any misread signal can force a chain of decisions they cannot undo. In the intercepting jets, the pilots know that once they commit, turning away late can be more dangerous than pressing forward. This is why moments like this matter. Not because shots are fired, but because they show how quickly routine presence can slide into real confrontation when one side misjudges the balance of power. And right now, that balance is far from even. The first response does not come with a missile launch. It comes with confirmation. Inside the bomber, the warning tone sharpens. The display shifts from passive tracking to active lock. That single change tells the crew everything they need to know. Someone on the other side has moved from watching to deciding. The aircraft does not break formation. The nose stays steady. Speed holds just over 550 miles per hour. Any sudden turn right now would only invite escalation. Calm is the first defense. Far ahead and far above, fighters that cannot be seen by the intercepting pilots begin to slide into position. No radio chatter reaches the open air. Orders move quietly through secure links. This is the part most people never notice. The response starts long before the threat feels real. On a radar scope hundreds of miles away, two contacts shift color. Green turns yellow. Yellow edges toward red. That change means real pilots, real aircraft, and real consequences if the next step comes. The Venezuelan jets keep pushing. 30 miles, 25. Their closure rate is fast enough to remove doubt. This is no escort. This is pressure. Inside one of the intercepting cockpits, a pilot tightens his grip and checks his range again. The return looks solid, strong, confident. What he does not see is that his own radar emissions are now painting a clear picture of him to others. Electronic systems aboard the bomber begin adjusting automatically, not to attack, but to protect. Signals are logged, angles are measured. Everything is recorded in real time. No one speaks for several seconds. That silence carries weight. Every person involved understands that the next choice will define the rest of the encounter. This is the point where opinions split. If you think the intercept should stop here, press 1. If you believe pressing closer is the real test, press 9. Then the distance shrinks again. At 20 miles, there is no room left for misunderstanding. This is the moment where intercepts either cool down or spiral out of control. The bomber still holds course. The escorts now have clean geometry. The first response is complete. Detection is confirmed. Positions are set. What happens next depends entirely on whether the approaching pilots recognize the danger they have already triggered. The escalation does not explode, it tightens. Electronic noise begins to fill the airspace. Not loud, not obvious, just enough to bend what the intercepting pilots think they see. Ranges feel slightly off. Angles do not line up the way training says they should. In close air encounters, even a small error can decide everything. Above the bomber, unseen escorts widen their spacing. Each move is slow and deliberate, measured in degrees and seconds. No sudden turns, no aggressive dives. Control matters more than speed right now. Below, the ocean stays flat and quiet. From the outside, nothing looks wrong. Inside command rooms, it is a different picture. Radar operators start questioning their own screens. Returns appear, fade, then reappear a few miles from where they were a moment earlier. Someone adjusts gain. Someone checks calibration. The data still does not settle. This is pressure without contact. The intercepting jets push closer anyway. Their pilots trust their instruments. They have flown these aircraft for years. They believe proximity equals leverage. They believe the bomber will blink first. What they do not realize is that every second they stay locked is feeding a clearer picture to the other side. Their own emissions are now a trail that can be followed from miles away. They are no longer hunters. They are signals. Inside the bomber, the crew feels the shift. The aircraft systems compensate smoothly, filtering noise, tagging angles, predicting movement. No one raises their voice. There is no drama on the flight deck. That calm is earned. Then a pause. For a brief moment, there is nothing but the sound of airflow and the steady hum of engines. No alarms, no new tones, just waiting. This is often the most dangerous part, when someone decides whether to step back or push past the edge. Right here, the outcome can still go either way. If you think Venezuela should break off now before it turns ugly, press 1. If you think this kind of pressure is exactly the point, press 9 inches the comments. The distance drops again. At this range, there is no room left for signaling games. One wrong move, one misunderstood return, and the situation jumps from tense to irreversible. The escalation phase is complete. What comes next will not be subtle. What the intercepting pilots still do not see is that the air picture they are focused on is no longer the main event. While attention stays locked on the bomber above the Caribbean, another layer of the operation has already moved into place. Far below the surface, in deep, quiet water, a United States submarine has been holding speed and depth for hours, waiting for a narrow window that is now opening. This is the twist most confrontations never reveal in time. The submarine does not rush. It does not react emotionally. Its crew has been watching the same clock as the bomber crew, counting down to a moment planned long before the fighters ever took off. For them, this intercept is not a surprise. It is a trigger. As the jets continue to press, command authority shifts silently. Data flows one way, confirmation comes back the other. No one on the surface hears a thing. Inside the submarine, the order is short and clear. Preparations begin, controlled and methodical. This is not escalation for its own sake. It is positioning, designed to remind everyone watching that the confrontation is layered, and airspace is only one piece of it. Above the water, the bomber starts a subtle change in posture. Not a retreat, not an advance, just enough movement to draw eyes upward again. The intercepting pilots follow, still convinced that this is the center of the fight. They are wrong. The real shift is happening out of sight, and once it completes, there will be no easy way to pretend this was just a close encounter anymore. This is the moment where pressure becomes leverage. If you believe the United States planned this perfectly from the start, press 1. If you think this twist risks pushing things too far, press 9 inches the comments. The next phase will make the mistake impossible to ignore. The climax does not arrive with a warning, it arrives with motion. Sensors pick it up first, not radar from the sky, but signals rising from the sea. A brief flash, then another, low and fast. Cruise missiles break the surface and drop back down, skimming just above the waterline, moving inland at high subsonic speed. Inside coastal command centers, confusion spikes. Screens struggle to hold a clean picture. Some returns disappear. Others jump position. Operators call out ranges that change between sentences. Phones light up. Orders overlap. No one is fully sure which threat deserves attention first. Above it all, the bomber begins to ease away from the center of the picture. The move is smooth and unhurried. Fuel looks good. Speed increases slightly. The aircraft never turns hard. It does not need to. The intercepting jets finally sense the shift. Their instruments warn that something else is happening. The air no longer feels controlled. They adjust course, but the moment has already passed. High overhead, unseen escorts settle into perfect geometry. A targeting solution forms. It is clean, it is undeniable. A short radio call cuts through the silence. One sentence. Calm. Final. The intercepting pilots understand instantly. Their radar emissions have betrayed them. What began as pressure has become exposure. One jet breaks away sharply, dumping speed. The other hesitates for a heartbeat too long. No missile is fired in anger. No explosion lights the sky. But the message lands just as hard. The escorts hold the advantage, and they make sure it is felt. At the same time, the sea-launched missiles race toward their assigned points along the coast. They fly low enough to stay hidden, fast enough to leave no room for reaction. The bomber is already outbound as the first impacts occur far below the horizon. This is the peak of the encounter. Air, sea, and decision all converge in the same narrow window. And right here, opinions split hard. If you think this response was necessary to restore control, press 1. If you believe it pushed the situation to the edge, press 9 inches the comments. The climax passes quickly. What remains will shape what comes next. When the noise fades, the air over the Caribbean goes quiet again. The bomber is already well clear of the area, cruising steadily, fuel balanced, systems calm. The escorts remain on station just long enough to confirm what they already know. The intercept is over. Control has been restored without a single shot fired in the air. Along the coast, the effects appear more slowly. Selected facilities go dark, communications pause. Crews on the ground scramble to understand what just happened and how much was exposed. No large explosions dominate the skyline. No cities are touched. This was not punishment. It was precision. For Venezuela, the lesson is immediate and uncomfortable. A routine intercept meant to show resolve ended up revealing radar positions, response times, and coordination gaps. In less than half an hour, years of careful posture were quietly mapped and tested. What was meant to intimidate instead created a clear picture for the other side. For the United States, the message is just as clear. Presence does not need permission, and restraint does not mean weakness. The operation shows that pressure can be met without chaos, and control can be enforced without open conflict. Power, in this case, was measured by discipline. For the crews involved, the aftermath is personal. The bomber pilots log the mission and prepare for the next task. The escorts return to routine patrol. On the other side, pilots replay the encounter in their heads, measuring the moment where confidence turned into exposure and the sky stopped feeling safe. This is how modern confrontations end now. Not with victory parades or burning wreckage, but with silence and calculation. Each side walks away knowing more than before and trusting less than they did hours earlier. In the hours that follow, analysts on both sides review the same data from very different angles. One side looks for reassurance, the other looks for weakness. Every track, every signal, every delayed response is logged and studied. What happened over the Caribbean will quietly shape decisions long after the skies appear calm. Because this was not the end of a story, it was a rehearsal. A test under real conditions, with real consequences held just below the surface. Next time, the window to step back may be smaller, and the margin for error may be gone entirely.